What's up, guys? We're here at the Rtisan podcast, and today I have Maha Zehery. Is that correct? Am I saying that correctly?
Zehery.
Zehery. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Maha Zehery from Ohio, and we were able to link up via the one of the many podcasting groups on Facebook. And I want to thank you for actually reaching out to my request to have some new guests on. And let's talk about you a little bit, all right?
Okay. I'm originally from Egypt, Alexandria, Egypt, and I have been an American citizen for a little over 40 years now. 40 years.
40,
Um,
wow. Yeah.
yeah, we used to live in North Carolina, and then my husband got an offer with Ohio State. We thought it's Columbus. We didn't know anything about Lima. And then he came and told me it's a small town called Lima. And I said, Lima. And he said,
Yes.
before you go, you have to understand it's Lima, it's Cairo, not Cairo, it's Russia, not Russia.
Right, right, right.
When I first moved here, I was a little overwhelmed because I'm a city girl. But can you believe it? I've been here now for over 26 years. So I'm a
Wow.
Lima now.
Yes. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So, how long did you live in Alexandria, Egypt before you moved here?
Well, I moved, I'm not going to say my age, but
Sure. Okay.
4 years ago, 40 years ago. And I lived in Alexandria. My dad was an admiral in charge of the Egyptian Navy and
Wow.
lived for a long time and was very, really popular and nice, kind guy.
Yes.
We enjoyed Alexandria really very much. And I try to go every couple of years. Can't live without visiting the home.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. You are the third person I've met who is actually from Egypt this week, actually.
All
I
right.
do. Yes. I spend a lot of time in downtown Chicago, and I just so happened to meet two young men who were from Egypt. We didn't really get to talk that much because we were. Well, I work at a club, like I manage a club, and they come in fairly often. Really great guys. To be totally honest, I wasn't sure what their ethnicity was. I kind of like just assumed that they were Arab or something, or like Palestinian. There's a lot of Palestinians here in Chicago. Oddly enough, there's a lot of Iranians. There's a lot of Israelis here. So I just kind of assumed he was from not Africa, but that's super cool. So do you
Egyptian,
consider
right?
say that for me one time?
Egyptians, yes.
Yeah. Right. I was just about to ask you that. Do uh do Egyptians consider themselves to be African at all? Really?
Oh, we are from Africa,
Yes,
but we're Egyptians.
yes.
Oh,
What is that distinction like for you? Because that seems to be very rooted in
yeah,
identity politics. Is it just like an Egyptian thing? Is that like a non-sub-Saharan African thing?
yeah, exactly. And we're proud because Egypt had a lot of history. So
Absolutely.
compared to when here they say it's an old building, it's only 100 years, it doesn't mean anything for us,
Yes.
with the thousands
Yes.
and thousands, yes. And we're very proud of our religion. And of course, we are also very proud to be American.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great
Sounds
country
great.
together.
Yes. No. Absolutely, ma'am. So, what is it? What is your profession now?
Well, I had a degree. I actually had my high school diploma from Cambridge, England,
Wow.
and then I had the BA in interior design,
Mm,
and then I had the master's from Ohio State in adult education and a minor in social work. So it's
wow.
totally different. But coming to live in Lima, Ohio, it was really difficult to find a job as an interior designer.
Yeah. Sure.
Studying, I really
Yes.
enjoyed it, and I am so proud of what I'm doing. I work for a company called Coleman Professional Services, and Coleman provides all kind of services for mental health, for addicted and homeless people.
Okay.
And under the umbrella of Coleman, I take care of an outreach center called Changing Seasons. And it's like a day club, if you will.
Mm.
And we get between 60 to 80 people a day. Can you imagine if we are not there? And we
Yes, absolutely.
provide all kinds of different services. If they need us to hook them up with Coleman, we will do that. If they just need to come and talk about issues, if they need an resume because they have an interview, we have a clothing store and we have a little boutique called Dress for Success. So if they need some help, for a nice attire for the interview, we have computers, games, puzzles, books, coffee, some nice bakery from the food bank, and it's really a fun job. Of course, sometimes it's a little tough, especially when there's a dead end and I can't help the client for any simple reason.
Ah,
But
yes.
how elated I am when I'm coming home and happy that I was able to solve that problem.
Yes. Well, let me just say that um, anybody that deals in social work of any kind, I'm always partial to, because I know how difficult that work can be. Um, so thank you. So thank you for that. Just from the jump. Uh, as far as I would like to, I didn't realize you worked with homeless people. There's a ton of homeless people here in Chicago. A ton. It's a big city. They are everywhere. And now that it's warm out, uh, they're more apt to sleep on the streets in downtown Chicago. So, like I said, I work at a club. I'm usually leaving very late at night. Like today, I didn't leave work till 6 a.m. Just closing down everything. Um, and on my way home, it's so odd that we're having this conversation right now. Today, there was another gentleman from a club. He was passed out on the ground, but there was a homeless man helping him up, like really trying to assist him. And we walked him. And I'll be honest, it was late. I had been up for literally 24 straight hours, and
Well,
I saw the guy. And I knew the guy on the ground wasn't homeless. I knew he was just drunk. But the homeless guy realized, because I'm sure he had slept outside so many times, he was so focused on helping him get to his car, and we ended up getting him a taxi and everything like that. So hopefully his car is okay. But he was so willing to help and be a very caring and helpful person. So I guess when I went on my way home, I was thinking about that a lot. Like, how can a guy who has nothing be willing to give so much of his time and energy to helping someone? And there's a ton of stories like this, but there's also a lot of stories that go the opposite way. These people are literally struggling to survive here, and I can't really help them. I give change and things like that. What would you say to somebody like me who or anybody that's lived in Chicago for any amount of time? What would you say to regular citizens when dealing with homeless people or people who are just struggling in general?
well, I'll tell you, Jeremy. First of all, let me share with you this, and then I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
Several years ago, I thought of doing walk in homeless shoes night and spend the night in the street.
Mm,
And although the local police knew, the mayor was going to bring us breakfast at 5 o'clock in the morning.
wow.
I was comfortable. I got my own chair. I had a blanket. I had a coat. And I want to tell you, in spite of that, by 2 or 3 in the morning, I was really struggling.
Yes.
I had to go back to bed so much. And of course, the commitment, I stayed. So it's not easy. It's really a tough thing. And I know some people choose to be homeless because they don't want to abide by the shelter rules. For example, there are shelters that if they stay there, they have to take certain religious classes, for example, or
Oh, okay.
So to
Yes.
them, you have first to impose on them your point of view. And the bottom line is that they are homeless. And I really don't believe that the United States of America should have any homeless people. And
Mm.
Chicago was big. I want to tell you, Lima is not that big, and there are many homeless people.
Yes.
Back to your question, this is a stigma, of course. I have friends who will say, "Oh, Maha, you're working downtown and working with homeless and addicted people. Aren't you concerned?" I'm telling you, they are the best people ever. If
Mm.
I'm leaving and I have to walk in the parking lot a little later, one of them will walk me through to the car, and I feel so safe. They are people exactly like you and me. I have this question, and this is my answer on. When some people will say, "How do your clients look like?" And I tell them, they look exactly like you and me. They don't have a third eye, or,
Right. Right.
the stigma is really, and I don't think people relate except if somebody from the family happens to have some financial issues or some mental issues. And again, with addiction and mental health, it is a chemical imbalance, Jeremy. It's
Mm.
exactly like if you have high blood pressure or diabetes, but people will get by and respect if you have diabetes, and they'll tell you make sure you eat the right food, take your meds,
Yes.
exercise. But if you tell them I have depression, come on, get over it kind of thing, when
Yes.
the chemical imbalance and it needs exactly the same medical attention. And that's why I'm very proud of Coleman, because honestly, they provide so many different services for our clients. They have psychiatrists, doctors, pharmacists, a pharmacy, vocational help, housing, changing seasons, you name it, many different programs for fathers, for kids, I mean, really, I can't begin to tell you why I am so proud of the company that I'm working for. And back to the clients, you can't imagine. I wake up in the morning looking forward. I worked before with nonprofits, but that was the first time now for 6 years I'm working with mental health and addicted and homeless people. I wake up in the morning and I'm really looking forward to going to my job. And that's a satisfaction that not many people have.
Yes. Uh, Once again, people in social work just have bigger hearts than the rest of us. Uh, so once again, thank you for assisting these people. Um, I love what you said about when you said people ask you about what do these people look like, and you said that they look like you and me. And what that did for me was it took a face and it took a color off homelessness, which is something that we can get wrapped up in a lot of times, because once again, you talk about identity politics, and it's easy to say, oh, that's not me, or oh, he doesn't look like me, so oh, that would never happen to me. Instead, it happened to another human being, and it kind of it makes, in that way, it makes homelessness very relatable to each individual.
Absolutely.
Another thing, it when you say it's like having diabetes or another illness, right? Um, Once again, it takes it out of the realm of, oh, it's not just him being lazy. Some people are literally afflicted. And we know here in America, there are just certain systems that you have to pass through in order to be successful. Everyone doesn't have the ability to get through those systems as effectively as somebody like you or I. So once again, it kind of destigmatizes um, a homelessness for like for me, and I'm sure for other people. However, there will be those that say, "Oh, he's just lazy" and things like that. So, what would you say for, once again, for somebody like that's not you, somebody like me who doesn't necessarily know how to deal with homeless people other than to just, be kind and keep moving. Because I'll say once again, I'm the kind of person who will, if I have extra change, I'll hand it to them. Or I generally won't be disrespectful to them as I walk past them. I'll make eye contact. I'll smile. I'll say, I don't have it, man. Sorry. Because I travel the same way every day. So I see the same people all the time. And while we're not friends, I do have somewhat of a relationship with them, even just in passing. What advice would you give to somebody who may have, right? Let's say they don't have money. How can I, as a regular individual, help a homeless person?
Yes, of course, I have to agree that some take the system for a ride,
Sure.
and some inherited that system.
Yes.
But honestly, the majority are struggling. Also, I feel that many who have mental health issues are pushed in jail when they need medical help. That's really a shame that we have that too. And we deal with the police, and I'm so thankful that the chief here in Lima is a very understanding person himself. But again, I'm sure there's some people that will complain about the cop and how they dealt with him or her if she was drunk in the street, or if she's homeless, or if he's homeless.
Right.
And also, homelessness goes very much with mental health and with addiction. They
Oh,
all
okay.
get, you know.
Yes.
So yes, I know some friends, when they find the homeless people, they will not give them money because they
Yes.
encourage them, to feed their habit, but they will give them food, they will give them some canned food, or, something, and not the money itself, which is fine with me, because again, if he's addicted. And one of the things, even with the clients, there's a stigma of saying I am addicted or I have mental health. So, as I told you, Changing Season is an outreach center. People walk in and we'll welcome them. They don't have to be Coleman clients. Of course, if I feel that they need help, I will suggest and take them to Coleman. But when we ask them, are you a Coleman client? It's like, again, it's a stigma. He will or she will say, oh, I know, I've been there once, but I have nothing to do with it. And
Mm-hmm.
I explaining to them that they should be proud that they are taking care of their issue.
Yes.
So even the clients themselves are sometimes having the stigma of admitting that they are having some mental health issues.
Right.
Back to your question, if you come and visit, I wish you can come on Salima and visit and see our clients. They're also so kind, so smart. Many of them know about Egypt. I have a client behind my desk. I have like at least 30 pictures that he drew with the ancient Egyptians and Cleopatra and King Tut and all
Yes.
that. I look forward, we play different games, play Scrabble. I used to play Scrabble with my parents, so I beat them always.
Right. Right. Right.
Of course, they're not hearing now, so I'll say that I beat them always.
Yes.
Uh, Again, back to your question and how people deal with. Last year, I was talking to another CEO for an outreach center in Ohio, but they are geared more to art. And since I have also, a certificate in art design, we clicked. And I was telling him, I really am looking for something, maybe, if it's with art, it will teach the people more
Yes.
in the community. And he told me he had an idea for me. He can give us masks and ask the people to draw a mask of their, how do they relate to a mental health person. So I took this idea and really made it big, Jeremy, in the community. And we first had a reception in a very nice place to attract the elite people of the community, if you will.
Yes.
gave them the mask and told them, please Google. Now, all the information is at your fingertips. Google,
Right.
get to know more about homelessness, about mental health, about addiction, about recovery, and then draw the mask. And I wish maybe another time, the masks are now a changing season. You can't imagine. I have masks from artists, from clients, from celebrities, TV celebrities here in Lima, juvenile court, students.
Hmm.
And one thing that gave it more weight, I had a kind young client who had problems with addiction, and his mask was black and it had like red lines. And I said, what are these red lines? And he said, I am slashing my ugly addiction face, and I'm hopeful to show my real good face. And that Jeremy had a light bulb. I said, the design is not only important, it's the story behind the design. So you can't imagine the stories and the wealth of information that people in the community got from those masks. They were displayed at the Civic Center, at the public library, at a couple of cafes, at the Lima Senior School, in many places. And again, I think that honestly helped many people who didn't know exactly what it is, the real mental health issues about. I every now and then have somebody who would come and talk to our clients or come and play bingo. We had the mayor come and play bingo, the chief police, and you know, people notice that they are again, we're all people together.
Yes.
Families who have somebody who has a mental issue, a mental health issue, or an addiction, or is struggling with money and they can't help to the extent that he will go to any of the shelters, then they start clinging more and understanding more and coming more and donating more to changing seas. We have
Yes.
we have a huge clothing store, and it's not only clothes; it's all kind of things. It's houseware, it's suitcases, um, and all kind of clothes for all sizes, men, women, and kids, toys, and and then again, one of the things that I try to impose, because some I feel more the entitlement than the commitment.
Ah, okay.
So I try, like any item in the store is 10 cents. And you might say 10 cents, what is 10 cents? Some people don't have those 10 cents.
Right.
So we try first to make sure if they can pay. And of course, if they can't, we'll give it to them free. But again, that little commitment. The bakery that we offer and fresh fruits and milk and yogurt and juices are free thanks to the food bank. But the coffee we try to charge again 10 cents. And again, if they don't have it, I will just rub it in. We've been asking for free coffee for several days now. Come on,
Right.
but of course we'll give it to them free. So it's a give and take. And again, Jeremy, like I dream of something very simple. We have many, many places or warehouses that are closed and not used. I wish that someone would think of having a warehouse that has nothing except a ceiling, you know,
Yes.
and mental health people, especially when it snows, Lima and Chicago is the same thing. Of course, Chicago is the windy city, but
Yes.
still cold. Um, to just open the door and get in when it's really cold or really hot, like nowadays, it's horrible nowadays, really very hot.
Oh yeah.
And just have a room with a roof up there and people can walk in. And I hope that one of these days, the United States of America will not have any homeless person because I honestly think that we can do it.
Absolutely. So let me, there's two questions I definitely want to ask you. So one thing that we've been, that you've been stressing is mental health as far as homeless people. I don't know if you have an exact number. I don't even know if you guys, if your company keeps this number. What percentage of the people that you help would you say has a mental health related issue?
I can tell you easily 90%, if not more.
Wow, 90%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, you know, the system also helps, Jeremy. Like,
Yes.
like two things. It's now cheaper for people not to get married. It's it's worth for them not to get married. That way, each will have their own income.
Yes.
So this is something that I struggle with. I'm an old-fashioned lady, you know,
Yes.
and kids will be more committed when the father and mother, even if there's a divorce, but the mother and father are in the picture, you know.
Right.
And then the other thing is, you know, again, I think that we need to give the mental health patient more medical help before throwing them in jail or prison. And I don't know what's the difference between jail and prison, but I know that
Right.
there's a difference. I always ask of my clients who were there, but I can't remember.
Yes.
But honestly, it's overwhelming, and I feel that we all could help. And one of these days, again, homeless people. Yes, there are some again that choose to be homeless. I totally understand that. But if they have, one of the things that the company is doing is really very reasonable housing.
Hmm.
Lots of housing offered by Coleman, and they are working on more housing.
Hmm.
And hopefully, many other companies will. I'm sure there's different companies like Coleman, but I stress Coleman because I see all the services that Coleman provides.
Absolutely. So, just to tag on that before we move on from that, and I get to the next question I wanted to ask you. Uh, so it sounds like mental health as well as social health is something that maybe as a community of people we should be considering when dealing with homeless people, because it's not just a failure to adapt. It's maybe a failure of us as a community of people to adapt to the growing issues that cause homelessness
I,
in general.
I think, Jeremy, you hit the nail on the head. I think we
Abs-
need to help more.
Yes.
We need to have more open mind to deal with these people. Many people have homes downtown that they're not using. Please open them and help people. It's a shame that I look forward and see. I look at many homes and they're closed and no one is using them, and at the same time you find people sleeping in the street.
Right. Absolutely. So the next thing for me, I have to just ask you is you're working with the chief of police as well as the mayor in your home of Lima, Ohio. Uh, I'm from a big city. You're from a medium small city. How can governments and us as people work with the government in 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 uh, in the best way that you know how, and in the way that you've been doing? How can we start to deal with the issue, because the population is only getting bigger, which is going to continue to thin out resources, which is going to squeeze some people from a monetary standpoint back into the below the poverty line continuously. And as that line continues to get even thinner, the more people, the people at the bottom are going to be pushed closer towards the people that you help. How in your opinion, how do you believe that governments, not in a fantasy kind of way, in a kind of real nuts and bolts way that you can see us dealing with right now, start to sort of ease the tension of the homelessness problem?
because also, Jeremy, one of the issues is the opiate problem that we have. You know,
Yes.
this is a big time issue too, and alcoholism also. And people will think that alcohol is okay, and I honestly believe that it's the gateway.
Hmm.
And alcohol is the gateway for many all of this other addictions that people will get to it once they start with something.
Yes.
I think that doctors have to be more strict when they are giving special kinds of meds to clients, um, because that's one big issue here we have in
Right.
the United States. And then the other thing, um, I think health insurance, um, hopefully what Obama started continues, and we don't stop that because everybody needs it, in the community. So I think it's different issues. People having open mind, people who have um, homes or warehouses that's closed should be opening it and helping the homeless people. Doctors need to be more careful when they are, what's the right word, offering the meds to their
Yes.
patients. And then again, forensic and how people who have mental health issues should be taken care of health wise, not thrown in jails. I think if all of us work together with all what I mentioned, it will be a less problem, which of course anybody in the community wants a safer downtown, you know? Or
1,000%.
yeah. So
Yes.
I honestly it's safe, but I'm sure there's some issues, but it's all over the world first of all, and then all over the United States. And yes, there's some people because of their mental health issues, they will do things that is not kind or reasonable. But if they were put on the right track, and if we make sure they take their meds, and this is one of the things with changing season, is if they come and say, I need meds or I'm out of meds, this is so important. I take them right away to Coleman and let them meet their caseworker and help them, because if they need those meds daily, they should be having them daily. And it really
Yes.
makes a difference. I could tell from my clients, and of course, I never mention that. I'll never say, how are you like that? I feel you didn't take your meds. I cannot say that. But, talking to them until they explain why that they are a little upset or a little angry, frustrated or whatever is the issue. And I
Right.
want to tell you, my first day at work, I was trying, at the end of the day, we have to put the names of the people who came. And I'm telling you, Jeremy, it's between 60 to 80 people a day. But
Right.
since I didn't know their names, and since they were handwriting it themselves, some will just kid and say the president, and some will, it won't be able to read their names. So I thought I will have my notepad and ask people the names. And there was this angry guy who was really angry and swore some words and said, I'm not going to give you my name. And I was a little upset because why is he angry at me? And
Right.
when talking to my chief officer at that time, she said, you and him, you have to get together. And I said, yes, he has to come and apologize. And she said, no, Maha, you have to know why was he angry? Why was he upset? Is he uh, having a problem? Was he sleeping in the street? Did he take his meds? Does he need help? you know and this opened a totally different perspective for me. One of the things in that job, we don't take it personal. I am really lucky that I can say 99% of the clients appreciate me and appreciate all the staff, my colleagues, and like us. And I tell them it's like we spend with you time more than our family.
Right.
We are like a family together. But if somebody is upset that day or um, wants to be left alone or something, we respect that and we don't take it personally.
Right. Good for you. I gotta ask, how many of those people do you see? How many returning people do you see? Is it the same people every day? Do you feel like you get a so let's say you're getting 80 new people every day, right? How many of those 80 people do you think you see more than 3 times a week?
I think 75 of the 80.
Oh
And
wow. Okay.
then
Okay.
when, yeah, some of them is like regular. When they don't come, I kid with them. I say, you didn't show up yesterday. You're fired. How come you
Right.
didn't?
Right.
Kind of thing. And the new ones will hear about us. The word, of course, is spread from shelter places, homeless people. This is mostly our PR people, for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I can tell you, like, 5 maximum a day would be new until they become
Okay.
regular too. And then
Yes.
you can't imagine, and they know that. If one of them comes and says, Miss Maha, I won't be coming tomorrow because I'm starting a job, you can't imagine.
Nice.
You can't imagine, Jeremy, how happy I am. And I share with them and hear more news about them and tell them how proud we are that they are starting a job. And some people would have some help from Job and Family Service for some, like taxis or cabs or whatever, for some time.
Yes.
But then until they know what to do or ride the bus or if they are able to buy something else, buy a car. But I want to tell you, another nonprofit started a great endeavor. Um, they ask people to donate bikes, even if the bike is not working properly.
Yes.
And then people who need bikes, they'll ask them to come and they help them to fix the bike and then get the bike for themselves. So now I am proud. With changing season, we have 120 clients who have their own bikes.
Hmm.
And it's because of the Wheelhouse nonprofit that really is an amazing endeavor too.
Absolutely. I love that. I
So
love it.
transportation, of course, sometimes is an issue, and again, those bikes really was. I think it was a very smart idea. Another idea that I want to talk about too, that Coleman has, um, there are some coaches. Their job is recovery coaches, and recovery coaches are people who really hit rock bottom and they were helped and they are recovered from their addiction or mental health and now they have a career.
Wow.
And so the clients, other than having a caseworker, they will have a recovery coach. And it's amazing because that recovery coach person, whether man or woman, can tell them, I have been there and see where I am now.
Right.
And that also is a great endeavor that Coleman has too.
Right. All of that sounds really great. Really great. How many people, this is going to be a tough question for you to answer. How many people over the course of a year do you think, over the thousands that you see, um, how many people do you honestly think that you have helped get into a position where they don't have to come and see you anymore? And I know that situationally that number is going to vary, and help is going to be what help is for each person is going to be different. But how many people do you think that you guys are getting from the place of need to a place of self-sufficiency a year? Because I know if since we're dealing with mental health and we are dealing with addiction as well, you're going to have people that relapse as well. So you may get some people on the road to recovery, right? Which that road never really ends. We do understand that.
Yes.
Um,
And I would tell you, I don't have figures, and I wish I had the right figures, but what I wish is to see more of what you are asking.
Yes.
Because, yes, the relapse is more, of course. And again, some people will deny, like, they, oh, I have no problem, Miss Maha. I was able to stop drinking 10 times. Well, you went,
Right. Right.
no. So that's also an issue for them to admit it. But
Absolutely.
I can tell you that once they admit it and once they are on their first step with Coleman, um, the recovery is very possible. And then also, some of them will come and visit, like after 6 months or a year, and they say, I have job now and we miss you. I'm just coming to say hi. But
Yes.
Coleman was able to help me, and I have a job, and of course, we have also to admit that recovery is not easy, and it's a struggle, a daily struggle. It's
Yes.
not like I lost weight, for example. I'm on a diet, I lost weight, I'm fine. Although even with dieting, you still have to take care.
Absolutely.
But with addiction and recovery, it's a daily struggle.
Yes.
And there's some people who really will make sure that they are not close to somebody who's using, for example, or drinking, and there's alcohol. Mouthwash has no alcohol in it, because it is a
Yes.
daily struggle. And for them to be struggling every day, I raise my hat for them. It's not easy.
Right.
But again, to your question, I wish and I hope that we can see more. And this is what Coleman is really trying to do, is increase the success stories more and change the destinies of these clients.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Maha, you are truly a paragon. Last question I have for you anyway is, if someone wanted to reach out to Changing Seasons and be or any other organization in their local neighborhood or city or town, uh, what what kind of help do you guys need? Obviously, we could always use financial donations, right? Everybody could use more money. If you have what skill sets can you guys use?
Well, I'll tell you, for example, coffee, sugar, creamer is a big,
Okay,
big.
okay,
When you clean your closet and you have lots of nice clothes that you're not using anymore, please bring it to changing season or whatever outreach center it is. Um, Taking some of your time to come and talk about the skill that you have. You know,
right,
like I had some volunteers who would come and show them how to cook in a crock pot or an electric skillet,
yes,
um, how to eat healthy, how to have parenting skills.
right,
So we encourage the community very much to come and um, just share with us whatever skills they have that could help our clients too.
right,
Also, the issue of, again, the stigma. Talk to them like normal people, because they are normal people. And everybody, I mean, I want to tell you, I have to admit, I have a chocolate addiction.
me too, me too.
And I would bring the chocolate and tell my husband, hide it. And then at
Yes,
night, I need that little piece
yes,
of chocolate. And he'll tell me, you told me to hide it. I'm not going to tell you.
right,
I
right,
get upset. So, I mean, we all have different kinds of um, addiction. Some people spend more money than what's needed just shopping because they have addiction of spending money. There's so many
yes.
different kind of addictions. And what was your last question? I think I went off track. What was your
No, no,
question?
no. It's okay. You're actually kind of on track a little bit. I asked, how can individuals
Oh,
help out Changing Seasons or any other organization that is similar to yours as far as lending their time and money. And at the very top, we had coffee and creamery and sugar, and then you got to clothes and things like that.
And then sometimes I had somebody calling and telling me that they have a huge piece of furniture that is like a bookshelf and a TV, and that, what do you call it, a media center kind of.
Yes.
Of course, we can't use it, but we went and got it, and we're keeping it for somebody who needs. Sometimes somebody will call and say, I have a bed that need to get rid of it. We have a couple of clients who are really nice because they also have a van or a truck that they can move stuff. So we'll help them with gas, and they will go and get it to the client who needs. And then being in the media, I'm really proud, and I have to admit that I have a very good rapport with our local media, whether it's the TV or the papers. So we're always there promoting information for people to know more about us. And I'm glad that Coleman and Changing Season is very well known and very respected in our community.
Yes.
We get lots of donations, and we learned one thing. You never know. Like somebody would have whatever, something that you don't think anybody will need. They'll call and say, I have blah, blah, blah. I'll say, yes, bring it. And you'll find the right person who needs it. Even an old typewriter. Once somebody had one, and I had a client who wants to write a book, and he's used to the typewriter. He was able to get the typewriter. So, any donation, anything that you have, instead of throwing it away or giving it to places that sells again, give it to us. We will try to give it, as I said, free or 10 cents a piece, which is really not much, but again, for our clients to learn the commitment more than the entitlement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I guess I had one more question because you just said something I thought about earlier.
Sure.
You said that you try to get them to pay for things. Obviously, we know that they don't have much. So you're selling it for almost nothing, right? The sense of commitment, right? It's not so much that you want them to just leave the center every day and just go stand outside and come back as they need things. But for instance, there's a group of homeless men that are right next to a car wash that I walk past on my way to school pretty much every day, and they're out there every day. They're out there before no matter how early I get there, they're always out there, and they have just these rags. And as people come out the car wash or as they're pulling into the car wash, they'll ask them, "Hey, can I dry your car off for $1?" And I a few times I had let them do it, and when I have extra money, I always give more than $1. It seems like you want people to take that type of ownership or entrepreneurial spirit about their situation. Can you talk about what that does for them when they are able to go out, maybe instead of just asking for money? Everybody isn't going to be able to stand next to a car wash and ask for $1 to dry the car because there'll be 200 people standing outside of car washes looking to dry off cars. But can you talk about what that does for them when they can pay for things, as opposed, because I'm sure you notice a difference in people who do have the 10 cents to give for a cup of coffee, as opposed to those who have to come in and beg all the time. Can you talk about what that experience is like for you and what that experience is like for them?
Yeah, sometimes at the beginning I was concerned. If one of the clients, for example, wants to wash my car, should I allow that or not? And then again, I asked my bosses, and they say, why not? If he will do a good job, and if you want to do it, yes, encourage the people to do any kind of job that they can do and reward them. And if you feel that they are going to be using the money for just, we don't want to encourage the addiction, um, give them something worthwhile.
Oh, okay.
You know, personal hygiene, for example, you were asking about the donation. Personal hygiene is, again, one of the top demand that we have. Different
Right.
kinds of toothbrush, toothpaste, shampoo, soap, all kind of stuff. One of the things that we always struggle with, um, underwear and socks.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a lot, I ask people, please either donate us some new, or if you have some that are not used or clean, please bring them. And again, that is something that is so much in demand.
Right.
So really, the sky is the limit of how people can help and what people can donate. Jeremy, this reminds me of a movie that I just saw. It's um, it's a Lebanese movie, and it's called Sofra, Soufra. Okay, and Sofra means dining room, and it's about the Palestinian refugees that went in Lebanon, and there was this lady who had a vision, and many of them really enjoyed cooking. So her vision was to buy a big truck and turn it into a kitchen.
Mm.
And instead of catering and people coming to pick up the food, they will go to different places. And their food was very delicious and it worked very well. It's a movie that I encourage you. I see that you really care about people.
Oh, I
Uh,
do.
on Netflix, by the way. Okay, it's on
Okay.
Netflix, and it's an amazing movie. And this is one of the things that I'm dreaming. If we can have one of the old school buses that's not used, and we can switch it and have it ready we can start the meals in the kitchen and then continue it, there, and then that will be them cooking and getting the money for themselves, for example.
Yes.